today we're going to be talking about anxiety. Anxiety disorders are the most common of the disorders, and actually it affects more than 40 million people in the United States, and that's just adults. With children, 30% of children and adolescents experience an anxiety disorder. And so this is a really important discussion to have. And so that's why I'm so glad to have Shasta Hickman. She is a licensed mental health counselor at a New Life Christian Counseling. Thank you so much for being with us today, Shasta.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be back.
Yes. So I know that we all have anxiety and worry that we experience. It pops up in our lives. What's the kind of anxiety that's kind of to be expected? Can you kind of hash that out for us?
Yeah, so I think we've all probably experienced like that sense of a butterfly in our stomach, or we might get sweaty palms before we go into a big meeting. But then as soon as we go out on stage or we're sitting there in the meeting, it dissipates. And that is normal, right? That's our system sort of like in anticipation of something, getting us prepared for it. And there's a level of that like is uncomfortable, but is totally normal, and it helps us perform, whether that's giving a speech or, singing in front of a crowd, or even just talking about something that we really care about in front of a group of people.
A little excitement kind of even with that. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing, actually. Our biology is wired to do that, to prepare us for an event like that. And even for something that's dangerous, right? That's what the wiring is intended to help us sense as danger. And so there's a tiny element of danger about going outside your comfort zone and doing something that might make you feel a little excited and a little anxious.
Yeah, and I think we all have things that we might worry about with our kids or with a family member that might be sick or something like that. And there are ways to combat that. But when does it turn into something that, hey, maybe I need to see a counselor or my doctor about this? This is feeling a little bit more than the general anxiety that I've experienced in the past.
Yeah. So when we go back to like the biology, we're wired to sense danger or dread. And that's what I like to think of like a warning system, and it gets activated. It's there as a protective mechanism, right? So we think of like a car alarm going off, right? Somebody comes by and tries the door handle, that thing starts blaring, right? That's our warning system, our anxiety getting activated. It warns us of danger. I sometimes say it's like a bear is chasing you. When you feel like the bear is chasing you, your alarm system's going crazy,
your heart's
right?
pounding.
Yeah, you're maybe sweating. You might have a dry mouth. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, the bear is chasing you and they have a panic attack, right? Yeah, and they kind of freeze. So some of those things are pretty evident that it's like, this is more than just I'm worried about how my kid's going to get on and off the bus today or whatever it is. And so we notice that system is being activated. The alarm's going off pretty consistently and in a way that's like getting in the way of doing the things that we want to do in life. And when that alarm system goes off, there's a release of chemicals that goes in our body that create all that activity that starts happening. And it's a good thing, because if a bear really was chasing you, you want to get away, right? And that system's there for a reason. It's going to give you that shot of energy you need to get away. And that mental clarity you need to know to climb the tree or whatever the thing is that you need to do to get away.
Okay, trying to imagine myself climbing a tree, not probably going to get eaten by that bear, but good analogy.
So if a bear is not really chasing you, then you might be having a false alarm, right?
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, right. So the alarm's going off, but there's no bear. But you feel inside of your body, in your biology, you feel like maybe a bear is chasing you.
Yeah.
And so we begin to take note that like there's no bear around, and this is happening, and it's really getting in the way of being able to function, whether that's in relationship with people or being able to go and do the things that you love to do. That anxious feeling is so big that you're not able to function in the way that you normally would.
Yeah.
Some people may be sitting here like you and I looking into a computer screen, and that sense of dread or panic takes over.
Yeah.
And there's no apparent reason for it. And they just cannot get through their day until that feeling goes away. And eventually it does go away for a period. The problem is with anxiety that needs to be treated is that it comes back, even though there's no bear around.
Is a cyclical thing that is happening for, an ongoing period of time where, okay, it goes away briefly, but it's going to return. And I heard one time a friend of mine describe the anxiety that she felt, kind of a social anxiety, where she would be in a conversation with someone. In her mind, she would think, okay, it's time to respond, to what is being talked about. And it was like, it was like almost like a muteness where she couldn't respond. And she's thinking, well, that's making it worse. That's making it more awkward. But she couldn't formulate the words. And I just appreciated her sharing that experience because, sometimes we don't know what's going on with someone who is struggling with anxiety. And I thought that was really insightful because a lot of times you just think of it in terms of worry or something like that, or like an outward like panic attack, like, oh my gosh, someone just, can't breathe or they're hyperventilating and, or they feel like they're having a heart attack. So they went to the hospital, but it was a panic attack. Those are some maybe common things that people think about, but really there is a lot more to it when you're experiencing an anxiety disorder that needs to be treated.
Absolutely. And for each person, it can show up differently. Kids get stomach aches. And they're like feeling sick and there's no apparent sickness, right? They haven't contracted the flu and but their stomach hurts and it's very real. Their stomach really does hurt. And, moms and dads are saying, you just don't want to go to school today. Come on, get up and go to school. And they're experiencing anxiety. They maybe, a kid said something mean to them the day before, and today they're fearing and anxious about that happening again. Right. And so their stomach hurts really bad. It happens for adults too, but it's common in kids that's one way that anxiety can show up for especially little kids. But you're right. There's that like fight, flight, or freeze that happens, right? And that is a version that you described of freezing.
A freeze, yeah. So I want to go over that again. It's fight, flight, or freeze. And so this is something that is biologically happening with us. So when people are like, oh, just get over it, suck it up, this is a physiological thing that is going on. And so, to say that we should somehow have like mind over matter or something, it doesn't really work like that with anxiety. And so I think that's an important thing to understand. If you have a friend or a family member that is struggling with this, please have grace and empathy because this is not something that they're choosing. They would not choose this. So that's important to remember. Well, I'm really excited to go into some more details about anxiety. So next week, we're going to talk about kind of ways to treat anxiety. Definitely join us next time, and Shasta will be here. Can't wait to see you next time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And a big thank you to His Heart for supporting this channel. If you want more information for you and those you love on mental health, go to mentalhealth.academy today.